your mask.
Going on right now.
Yeah, you gotta obey the law.
I am.
That's why you're a bad man. I mean, all of us.
That's why you're a good person.
This one until somebody comes here and then I'll switch. Switch over that one after public comment.
Call the October 20th Common Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Olson.
Here.
Alderman Dandria.
Here.
Alderman Mayor.
Here.
Alderwoman Wilhelm. Here. Alderwoman Hanneman. Here. Alderman Barber.
Here.
Alderman Nelson.
Here. We have a quorum. Please rise and join the Pledge of Allegiance. Still have some hats on. We'll wait for the hats to come off. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Before we get started, a couple of ground rules. And before the ground rules, this year's Halloween, we are still having Halloween trick or treat. City just designates the hours, but I have been getting calls from concerned citizens about Halloween. The health department has printed up some signs. They're available from the clerk's office, at the library, and there may be a couple of churches that have them free of charge. If anyone would like them, feel free to pick them up when you're absentee voting.
Mayor, what does it say?
It says, Happy Halloween. Sorry, no tricks or treats this year. Stay safe and happy haunting. Excuse me. The PDF of this will be available on the health department website as well.
So is that the city stance? Has it been canceled?
No,
Okay,
Halloween has not been canceled. It's an individual event at any rate.
okay.
But if you choose not to participate,
That's for those that choose not to. Correct.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
turn your porch light out, and if you want some of these, we have them available. So ground rules for this evening are same as the Plan Commission. As published on the agenda, 3 minutes citizen comment period, one time through only, so collect your thoughts. Contrary to the advice given by some, it's 3 minutes apiece, no yielding of time, no second times through, that's it. So collect your thoughts. There are some banners out in the hall. That's a good place for them. We can't see them. That's fine. We will respect each other's opinions. No clapping, no yelling, no screaming, no side conversations. We do that out of respect for each other and each other's opinions. Okay, everybody clear? Let's social distance. Use the microphone in the front. The key to the microphone in front is get friendly with it. Speak loudly into the microphone. You must give us your name and address for the record. Again, speak clearly and give us your thoughts. With that, I will open the citizens' comment period. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward, give us your name and address, and let us know what you'd like to say. Mr. Bannock, good evening.
My name is Tom Benning, 11720 West Ryan Road. My home's approximately 1,400 to 1,600 feet from where this project is. As I was at a meeting last week with the CEO here, and again, none of these issues have been settled. And it was revealed that only 3 people from Strauss actually reside in Franklin. So once again, the bringing jobs to Franklin point is mute. The average wage of their workers doesn't even afford them the privilege of living in Franklin. 2, the fire chief's concerns have not been addressed, nor have any assurances on our home values. And that is rather frightening. We invest a lot of money in our homes in this city, and we pay a lot of taxes. And to have you guys disregard that would be just, sinful. So I would wish you would consider that in your thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Benning. Would you wait 1 second? Heath, who is keeping track of the time? Mr. Benning, you lucked out.
But
Nobody was keeping track of time.
it wasn't 3 minutes.
I know it wasn't.
You can go have a talk for longer than 3 minutes if you wish.
You ready? Okay. All right, sir, please. Thank you very much. I appreciate your waiting.
Good evening and greetings. This is Vishal Gala, resident of N30W23066 Pineview Way, Unit 2, Pewaukee, Wisconsin. I'm here today as a board member of Jain Religion Center of Wisconsin. We have our members in Franklin, Milwaukee County, and the greater Milwaukee area. We believe in nonviolence and compassion to all living beings, be human or animals. All lives are created equally and all have the right to live. So, just like we do as humans, due to the pandemic, we have already seen thousands of people suffering each day and many dying as we speak. Now think what would happen if this expansion goes through. The same would happen to these animals each day. We, however, are fortunate to speak and express our pain, but these animals don't get a fair say. Just like our pets, these animals also have a life. They also go through pain. They also have emotions. And when they're slaughtered, they suffer with cruelty. Additionally, data has shown more and more people turning to plant-based diets, and as they realize the impact to their health, making the meat industry less prevalent going forward. With that said, I would like all of you to think hard, think deep, what our decisions are going to cause to these innocent animals going forward. With that said, I would like to appeal to all of you to consider and vote no for this expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, council members. My name is Bijay Shah. I'm residing at 1995 Norhart Drive, apartment 5A, Brookfield, Wisconsin. I work for a global medical device company, and I'm experienced in business management, finance, and marketing. Why am I here today? I'm here today to stand with my friends who are residents of the city of Franklin. I'm here today because I care about my fellow Americans and the American economy. I'm here today because I care about the animals who cannot voice their concerns. For the residents of the city of Franklin, I cannot comprehend the idea of having a slaughterhouse in the backyard or anywhere for that matter, let alone the idea of approving the expansion of slaughterhouse in the vicinity of residential community. I truly believe that the residents of city of Franklin deserve a better business to support the local economy than a slaughterhouse or a meat packing business. The proposal, if approved, would be detrimental to the community, lost property values, air, water, land pollution, traffic congestion, COVID spreader hub, to name a few. As you know, the Strauss Brown was acquired in a private equity deal by Inside Equity based out of Texas, who owns controlling stake in the company, whose primary objective is to earn profit. I doubt if they cared about the community improvement for the city of Franklin. For the fellow American and American economy, according to Google search term, veganism in the US, 9.6 million Americans are now vegan. That's nearly 3% of the population in US. We are seeing a paradigm shift with more and more people opting for plant-based alternatives. The reason for this shift is growing awareness of benefits of plant-based alternatives to the consumer, to the planet, and it being a solution to various challenges we face as mankind: freshwater scarcity and meeting the needs of growing population in a sustainable manner. I recommend council members to not support an outdated industry. Century City Business Park and City of Milwaukee reviewed a similar proposal by Strauss Brand, and having considered all the factors, positive and negatives, came to the conclusion to not approve new 60,170,000 square feet facility that claimed to add 250 jobs. Alderman Riney stood for the interest of the people in the neighborhood, listening to the voices in his community and the concerns that were raised. For the animals, let's put ourselves in place of these cows who are being slaughtered. Imagine that we are being separated from our family member in a manner these cows are. Imagine that we are in truck being brought to the slaughterhouse. Imagine that we are being offloaded from the truck and our death is nearing. No words can describe the pain these animals go through in slaughterhouse. Several companies, including Strauss Brown, market they raise and slaughter animals humanely. I am sorry, there is nothing humane when a living being or animal is being killed. I urge council members to vote no for this expansion. Thank you.
My name is Chris Hibben, Hibben. My address is 4934 North 106th Street, City of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53225. Good evening, Common Council. I am blessed to be able to attend this meeting tonight, and I'm here to show support for the members of Strauss. As a member that currently works in a food manufacturing facility here in southeastern Wisconsin, I am always happy to hear about companies that are expanding their operations. With this expansion, many additional people, including citizens of this wonderful city, will be given the opportunity for employment with a competitive wage. I have many close friends that are not able to be at this meeting tonight because they are working at this exact company. Although it is unfortunate they cannot be here, it says something. It shows that this business continues to make product that is in demand by people such as you and I locally. It also shows that thousands more nationwide are requiring this product and buying this product. Even with the current pandemic in effect, this company continues to provide food for the nation. These employees of Strauss are dedicated to making food to be put on our tables. I am aware that Strauss already has a facility here in the city of Franklin. Tonight, I am hoping that the members of the Common Council consider the many jobs this relocation will create, as well as the expansion. I am also hoping that the council keeps in mind the many state-of-the-art characteristics that this new age facility will have. I'm also asking the council to remember that Strauss has had minimal complaints, if any, in their current time. I know from talking to my friends, some who are currently workers at Strauss, that Strauss has made and will continue to make a commitment to do what is needed to make sure the partnership with the city of Franklin and with the neighbors continue to be positive, as it has been from day one of operation. Again, thank you for considering and helping another business grow here in Franklin. Thank you for what you do. Stay safe.
Hi, I'm Maggie Pobler, 11856 West Ryan Road. Although I am an employee of the city, today I'm here as a resident. We live a quarter mile from the proposed slaughterhouse. We built our home in 2015. Our home is has a state-of-the-art sewer system with nothing like it of its kind. We were promised a working sewer system. Our sewer works until it doesn't. Our home intermittently has gas pouring in. We have worked with the city, played along with Glenn Morrow's accusations that it was our home's plumbing that was insufficient. All while the city has poured tens of thousands of dollars into the road to mitigate the sewer system that pours into our homes. I couldn't even list our home for sale in its current state without disclosing the failing Ryan Creek Interceptor sewer system. Glenn did nothing but apologize for the odor that we had in our home this past weekend. Apologies do not sell homes or cash checks. When I question the mayor and Glenn, the city engineer, I get nothing but the blame game. There's not a clear resolution or end in sight for the odor, but yet Glenn Morrow has found new ways and more money to spend city tax dollars on a project that was controversial from the beginning and dismissed any arguments that Ryan Creek Interceptor would not work. The mayor, Glenn, and Strauss all say that the slaughtering of 500 cattle per day won't smell. The only people that seem to find that true are the individuals that have a vested interest. I have been promised that we won't have a sewer smell in our home, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The same people who tell me that my home won't smell are the same ones saying that the slaughterhouse won't reek and won't affect my property value. I am asking you as a resident that lives within a quarter mile of the proposed slaughterhouse to not allow this in our neighborhood. I ask that you listen to what we have to say tonight. Give as much compassion to the constituents and nearby residents as you do the investors. Because it is us that you made your promises and commitment to, you are elected to make right by your residents and not the corporate leaders and business developers. Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Amita Modi. I reside at 10441 West St. Francis Avenue, Greenfield, Wisconsin.
I'm sorry, wait.
53228.
Back up. We couldn't hear you. Please start again. Thank you.
My name is Amita Modi, and I'm residing at 10441 West St. Francis Avenue in Greenfield, Wisconsin, 53228.
Good evening.
Is it necessary or desirable to have a massive slaughterhouse in Franklin? Where is the public benefit of having slaughterhouse operation with all the negatives that goes along with it? And even if it brings in tax revenue and few jobs that it may bring in, is it worth it to the community to bring in to be known as Franklin the slaughterhouse community? I find it somewhat embarrassing that we are working so hard to make a special use condition for this company. And I would imagine that the increase in traffic, having trucks in and out, resulting in a greater expenses for maintaining roads, the blight of seeking these trucks in and out around town more than usual, potential pollution increase as well. None of this makes sense. And this is not a locally owned company anymore. I don't think it's good for Franklin and certainly should not receive a special condition use permit. Does it contribute to the general welfare of the neighborhood and community? Slaughterhouses are about the worst type of businesses to bring into a community. On top of the community blight, these are not the good paying jobs that may claim them to be, but actually to the opposite. They are known to be among the unsafest and worst type of job in existence. Straw specifically has been called out for using immigrants for labor to keep not only the wages down, but also to leverage it in avoiding adherence and compliances with OSHA guidelines. These type of workplaces contribute nothing to our neighborhood or community, and very few residents of Franklin actually work there, and if the number of jobs increases, it won't increase for Franklin residents. I think City of Franklin needs a woman leadership, being a woman who can be more sensible towards all the types of life, more compassionate towards the animal life as well. Women are naturally a leader who think not just to create new jobs, but based in interests of the residents. I urge council members not to approve this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Mrs. Mayor, good evening.
Suzanne Mayer, 9733 West Ryan Road. I'm about maybe a mile and a half from the proposed development. And just want to point out my UDO, which I received from Sandy Wesselowski about 7 years ago when I sat in the 6th district seat. And what?
You only got 3 minutes, Suzanne.
I know. I want to point out, this is the law of the city. This is something that you look at. It was produced from prior councils to give you a roadmap of how to follow this particular situation when you have a special use. And a special use is, they're asking for a special permission to be allowed to be in the zoning. And you're already zoned to the property at almost the lowest level you possibly can. They need to ask for permission to still be in that. So when you're looking at these different things, they're supposed to provide the evidence. And it says here that no special use permit shall be recommended, and that means by the Plan Commission, I would assume, or granted pursuant to the ordinance unless the applicant establishes the following. So they have to provide the evidence necessary for you guys to make the decision on this development. Now, when I sat in the 6th district seat, I heard nothing from the 1st district alderman other than everything needs to be fair. You know, all the citizens have to be, if citizens 20 years ago did something, they should do it now. And there was this citizen a while back who wanted to take a couple of lots and do a CSM on that, jumping through all the loops, dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, took a really long time, and yet something comes up wanting a special use. I fit into I was that citizen, by the way, I fit into that zoning code. They do not. Strauss does not fit into it. If they provide the evidence, maybe they will, but it's their responsibility to do that. Provide it to you so that you can make the evidence and make the decision. I just ask that you please look at the information. When you have, in here it says property values can't be messed with, or they need to provide evidence that they won't be. And the city assessor says, well, we won't know that until it happens. I've heard this before when they said, well, we have to pass it in order to know what's in it. There's certain stuff that needs to happen. Please just look at the UDO. It's your roadmap, and I would appreciate it if you would just support the citizens. You work for us. You don't work for them.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank you very much.
Folks, I'm not going to remind you again. At the Plan Commission, you were great. I don't know what happened that now all of a sudden you decide that you don't want to cooperate, but please, let's not be that way. Dr. Montgomery.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to try to limit myself to 4 questions. That never happens, so if I stray off the path, understand that's just who I am. The first question I have is, why the hurry? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought everybody knew me. My name is Robert Montgomery. I live at 8570 South 116th Street. I'm a retired physician and a retired Army colonel. Woohoo. And so the first question that I already asked was, why the hurry? Why the rush? Strauss isn't in a rush. We actually spoke to them, and they weren't in a hurry. The second question is, Strauss is okay with having Alderman Nelson and 2 Franklin citizens of his choice visiting their current facility. Why would that be helpful? Because if they're okay with the old style facility, they're going to be happy with the last facility. The third question is, and Strauss is okay with this. I asked him, I said, why don't you guys handle the complaints? Why do you hand off to the city? Because the city is busy, they're overworked. And the president of the Strauss company said, that's a great idea. We get so few complaints, quote, but it wouldn't be a big deal. So I recommend that if it does go in, let Strauss be the first level of complaint management, and you guys be way, way, way down the line, maybe way over here, because they seem to be in real time. You complain to them, they're going to give me an answer in real time. And the fourth one is more of a comment, a rant, but you're used to rants. If you look at the end of the proposal, the memorandum from October 16th, 2020, you'll see on the very last page, the last dotted thing, it says, and I quote, property value impact studies are murky at best. I love the word murky because they rely on a series of assumptions about a real estate market which is often impacted more by outside events than by local conditions. Oh my God, that is doublespeak to the nth degree. I have no idea what it means other than I love the word murky. So as I was saying, I got to do, as I haven't, oh, I can turn around all I want. I can turn left, right, and back. I'm addressing the whole citizen, everybody here, but thank you for minding my P's and Q's. So the point is, I did 2 internships, medical school, which is 4 years, 2 internships, each one was a year, 2 residencies, each was 2 years, so that's a 4, and I did 3 fellowships. Then I got to spend 23 years in the Army, Iraq, Kosovo, Korea. So I got asked questions by people all the time that I didn't know the answer to. And if I had gone up to one of my commanders or one of my attending physicians or a patient and they'd ask me a question and my answer was, that's murky at best, they would have said, who the heck are you? Are you getting paid to give an answer that's not an answer? Do you expect anyone to accept the answer murky at best? Oh, that's the question. Why go murky at best? Why not just say, hey, boss, we don't know the answer, but our plan is we're going to contact people who are experts and we're going to get it done.
And your time is up.
Well, that's great. I was told I'd get Darlene's time.
No.
I'm just kidding. It's just my sense of humor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Vishal Mehta. My address is 3712 Bayberry Drive, Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Vishal, can you get closer to the microphone?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I've been a Wisconsin resident for about 20 years. And I heard about this slaughterhouse expansion and felt like coming here and talking about my reasoning here to oppose it. When you hear about the word slaughterhouse, all you can imagine is blood of innocent animals, and the animals that cannot speak or express their emotions and feelings. It is not their fault that we as humans decided whether these animals should live or die. Who gives us the right to kill a living being that doesn't owe its life to us? And they have the same right as us to live on this planet. When God decided to create life, He did it in a way that humans, animals, birds, trees, and all visible and invisible beings make up an ecosystem. And there is a well-maintained balance. Why should we as a human take full advantage of our ability to use our brains differently from animals by this kind of action, such as slaughtering of animals? In this difficult period of COVID pandemic, helping business is a great call. However, not this kind of negative effect business, and not where money comes from blood and murder. Can you imagine the mindset of the people who work in this kind of place? What kind of job satisfaction do they get at the end of the day? Money earned from this kind of workplace does not bring in happy earning. Instead of closing down this type of business, you're agreeing to expand it. Why are we thinking, and how and why? Where is our moral responsibility towards these animals? Please take a moment and think about what you are approving, what you are voting for. Look into your conscience and decide, please. I respectfully urge council members here to vote no to this expansion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Jeff Kenny. Address is 12302 West Loomis Court in Franklin. I'm here to express concern and object to the special use approval for Strauss this evening. I understand that Strauss is currently a great resident, has been for years. It's a meatpacking facility. That's what I was expecting to be built out around the corner from my home. We're looking at a special use this evening for not only a meatpacking facility, but a slaughterhouse. I'm here for one reason only. It's the smell and the potential value impacts around that smell from this facility. Now, I watched every minute of the Plan Commission meeting last week, heard a lot of these same comments, heard a lot of the responses. This is great, brand new technology that's going to be scrubbing the air coming out of this facility. We personally have asked for examples of where this technology is being implemented so we could talk to the residents there, talk to those cities and find out how good is it doing. There are no good examples that I've been told to date of how this works. So, I'd love to take their word for it and say that, yes, this facility is going to go in, there's going to be no smell, and therefore I have no concerns. Nobody's going to even know it's there. It's in the back of an industrial park with other businesses. But what happens when it doesn't? Once approved, we can't go backwards. So, what I'm asking for tonight are two things. One, that we adjourn, don't take a vote, and require a property value impact study before moving forward with the vote to yes. If they can prove that the facility, that these scrubbers indeed are going to do what we want and make this just another industrial facility with no smell output, great, I'm all for it. Besides that, another thing that we can do is a property value guarantee to homes within 1 to 2 miles of the project site. Franklin has done this before. A good example of that is the quarry. The homes around the quarry were guaranteed value. nothing ever happened with that because the values stayed up there. They didn't do anything to be adverse to those values, and years later, that whole stipulation went away. I'd love to put that on this project, if it's going to move forward tonight, and make a property guarantee by Strauss. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Dropick, good evening.
Mr. Mayor Olson. Good evening, Jason Dropick, 3704 West Glenwood Drive. Dear Mayor Olson and the members of the Common Council, this letter is written and submitted to the Common Council on behalf of the Indian Community School, located in Franklin, to express the school's significant concerns and objections to the potential approval by the Common Council of a special use permit for the construction and operation of a large-scale slaughterhouse by Strauss Burns. As you are aware, the city's Plan Commission held a hearing and public comment period on the Strauss proposal on Thursday, October 8th, and the Common Council is set to consider the Plan Commission's recommendation to approve the Strauss proposal at this meeting. The school is located approximately 1 mile northeast of the proposed slaughterhouse site, and we have significant concerns and objections that were not adequately considered by the city's Plan Commission. The school believes that Strauss proposal will have substantial and undue detrimental impact on the school's property, create potential safety hazards for our students, staff, and visitors, and adversely impact the overall health, safety, morale, comfort, and general welfare of our surrounding community. See City of Franklin Unified Development Ordinance. Specifically, the proposed industrial slaughterhouse will likely diminish the value of the school's property and other surrounding properties. The Strauss proposal will add to the traffic congestion and safety concerns on Loomis Road and surrounding streets as a result of large semi-trailer trucks bringing an anticipated 500 head of cattle to the proposed slaughterhouse daily. The Strauss proposal is further likely to impact air quality and the storage of more than 16,000 pounds of toxic, highly pressurized ammonia at the storage site, poses a public safety risk that the city is not equipped to address in the event of an accident or mishap. The Plan Commission did not appropriately consider the standards set forth in the UDO, nor fully address the concerns, questions, and requests of the community during the October 8th hearing. Instead, the majority of the Plan Commissions either ignored the public's concerns or dismissed these concerns with conclusory statements. Despite the nearby residential homes and other planned residential development, neither Strauss nor the city presented any analysis, appraisal, or other consulting report on the impact of the slaughterhouse will have on property values in the community or neighborhood. Instead, the city assessor merely stated that he cannot know what impact the slaughterhouse will have on property values until after it is constructed and operated. In addition, I'm going to skip a few because I'm not going to have enough time. Similarly, the Plan Commission and Strauss have not presented any plan for addressing the increase in possible flies, cockroaches, parasites, rodents, and vermin that will be attracted to the slaughterhouse and traveling into our community along the continuous loads of cattle and manure. The city and Strauss have also yet not presented a strategy to manage the risk of transmission of diseases or waterborne illnesses created by herds of cattle and associated manure and waste containing microbes and pathogens. Additionally, concerning the schools, a lack of consideration given to the impact of large-scale slaughterhouse operation that will have on traffic in the area. Both city and company officials have confirmed that no traffic study was done to analyze the impact of the slaughterhouse on the area's roads and streets. There will be numerous trucks, large trucks, bringing approximately 500 head of cattle to the facility every day. I did want to get as much of this into the record as we possibly could. And thank you for your time and your decision. So our recommendation is to not vote on it today.
Thank you, Mr. Dropick. Sorry, Alderman. Yes, sir.
Sir, you only got 2 pages to the council, just so you know.
Yes, I know.
Okay, there's a page missing.
It was provided, but not before the 24-hour requirement. We apologize for that. So thank you for hearing that and getting that on the record.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Kishore Pulicheri. I live in 8551 South Ventana Drive, Oak Creek, Wisconsin.
I'm sorry, what city?
Oak Creek.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. I won't take the whole 3 minutes here, but I'd like to appeal to the council, to please consider these options before making a decision. That, there is a significant impact to the water quality, the air quality, and the real estate property valuation within the community, and the traffic congestion that it brings to the community by making a decision here. Please consider this. I would like to vote no for this.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Sriram Ragavalu.
Please come to the microphone and give us your name and address.
My name is Sriram Ragavalu. I live on 8229 South 44th Street. So many.
In what city?
Franklin.
Okay, thanks.
So for many people, Franklin may be the city they live in. For me, it's the heaven I live in on the earth. So it's so gifted, so many things. It's the best place to live. I can't imagine myself like slaughter home in this beautiful heaven. So I request you all consider no, don't approve it. I would like to consider no vote.
Great, thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Melanie Bartoff, 5210 South Donna Court, Hales Corners, Wisconsin. I am the political director and the service director for the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 1473. We are the union that currently represents the workers at Strauss in Franklin. Our members at Strauss perform the important, necessary, and skilled work of feeding America. They are proud to help put food on Wisconsin tables. Contrary to what folks might think, jobs at Strauss, like other packing plants, are skilled jobs. Expanding Strauss would bring more skilled labor and skilled labor pay rates and benefits to the community. These are good family supporting jobs. We have asked for input from our members on this new facility. The response we have received is overwhelmingly positive. Members are excited and enthusiastic about this expansion. For them, it means the opportunity to work in a state-of-the-art facility with space, tools, and equipment that are currently not available to them. To our members, this means safer jobs with better equipment, increased job security, and more opportunities to grow their careers within the company. UFCW staff and several of our members from Strauss attended the October 8th Plan Commission meeting in order to provide public comments in support of the new facility, and at that time we also provided written testimony from 90 of our members who work at Strauss that were not able to attend, all in support of the project. Our collective bargaining agreement with Strauss includes many benefits for the workers there, including a non-discrimination clause, a safety committee, access to affordable health care, good wages and guaranteed wage increases, and also provides a grievance and arbitration procedure to resolve labor disputes fairly. We want the council and the community to know that excellent union representation from our local union would apply to the workers at the new facility as well. Our union has worked with Strauss leadership throughout COVID-19 to ensure that workers there are as safe as possible. Union representatives and company officials walk the plant on a regular basis to conduct safety inspections and ensure that all policies and safety practices are being adhered to. The statements made by community members at the Plan Commission meeting suggesting that Strauss does not follow CDC guidance or that working conditions there are unsafe are simply false. And if you have seen the facility, you know that to be the case. In fact, it's quite telling to me that the majority of feedback against this project comes from people who do not have firsthand experience with or knowledge of Strauss as an employer or with the meatpacking industry. Believe it or not, I have had extensive experience in this industry, and I've spent a lot of time inside these packing plants. So as someone who does know what happens in this building, I can tell you, also as a leader of this local union, I am proud to stand in support of this project. Those who do know Strauss, namely our members who work there now, are very pro this new facility. This would be a win for workers, a win for the community, and I urge the council to vote in favor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rivera.
All right, Marcelino Rivera, 5536 West Allwood Drive. I filed a protest petition with 10 names. I was unable to obtain more because Bear Development bought out the property surrounding. So the ordinance foresaw that and precludes that means of avoiding supermajority. I want council to follow the ordinance. Two of Strauss's core values are integrity and transparency. I want to be respectful of Strauss and the council, but it's difficult to trust a company and city officials that haven't lived up to these values. Jerry Busen said he sees integrity as always doing the right thing, and that all decisions and direction of the company are dictated by himself and CEO Randy Strauss. Last year, Randy said, "We honor and respect the opinions of the community and don't want to make our home in a place where our presence would not be seen as a benefit." Almost 5,000 people signed the petition and don't see them as a benefit. We do not want this slaughterhouse. Over the past 3 years, Strauss has failed to live up to their core values of integrity and transparency. Here are some examples. The project started off as a 20 mil facility in Franklin. Strauss then turned their back on the city of Franklin for Milwaukee after acquisition by an investment firm. Then they came back to Franklin taxpayers for 9 mil in TIF support and a larger site. They have consistently failed to be transparent about water usage, treatment, needs, and risks. They should only be slaughtering calves and not lambs at their current facility, according to the 1971 special use document I found. They declined to comment on OSHA and health and safety violations from 2017 and 2020. They have been accused of racism, retaliation, and wrongful termination. They've paid each terminated worker 4 days' pay per each year that they worked for Strauss. More importantly, they have failed to provide impact studies done for a community they claim to care about. Sherry Hanneman, we do not want this slaughterhouse. I ask you to have integrity and recuse yourself for making this positional statement prior to hearing from the public. You said, protesting a $74 million investment that will bring at least 150 more living wage jobs during a recession in time of high unemployment is unreal to me. Mayor Olson has launched attacks from behind a screen. We are here in person to make it transparent that we don't find your behavior to be consistent with integrity. We do not want this slaughterhouse. Surrounding this project, you have engaged with fake accounts on social media and attacked any and all opposition. You have silenced Franklin citizens and disregarded their concerns. You have violated rules set forth by Section 15-10-0103E when the Planning Commission did not follow their proper order of procedure. Through all of this, I have been fortunate to learn a lot and connect with people I call neighbors. Many of us have very large differences of opinion, but we agree on one thing: we do not want this slaughterhouse. Strauss and the city of Franklin may not be able to recover tonight, immediately recover, but
Mr.
tonight
Rivera, your
you
time
have
is
the
up.
opportunity to be people with integrity. Please do not allow this approve to move forward. We do not want this slaughterhouse.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, good evening.
Can I share my documents, sir?
Certainly. Clerk. Come closer to the microphone, please.
This is Ashish Jain, 3919
We can't hear you. Come closer to the microphone.
This is Ashish Jain, 3919 Dory Drive, Franklin. Good evening, Mayor Olson and the member of the council. First of all, I'd like to repeat this is not about religion or being about vegetarian and vegan. This is more about the factory farming. So basically, I would like to reiterate my discussion on 3 points: animal cruelty, environmental issue, and Strauss as a company. When I talk about the animal farming, I see and when I see ads and when I see the pictures on the boxes, I see animal launching in green pastures, but that is not the reality. According to the USDA data, 99% of the animal farm is done in the factory farming, and the situation there is extremely terrible. We all can see, we all know that there have been the cases where you see there are a lot of infections. There have been the animals are caged in such a tiny places, and most of the animals even don't see the sunlight. So average age of the cow, which is 20 years, in factory farming it is reduced to 2 years. Forget about if the animal conditions. Let us say we are not animal lovers. What about the environment? What it does bring? It brings land and water pollution. It creates more greenhouse emission than all the transportation combined. Okay, let's even forget about the environmental. What does Strauss as a company bring to the table? It is not the first time that it has asked for the expansion. They asked for the expansion last year, and when it was rejected by the Century City Business Park in Milwaukee. I have read an article in WSWS.org, and 14th August, they laid off 31 immigrant workers, which was later found that they were demanding a better health and safety conditions. Most of the fired 31 protesting workers in Franklin who worked for Strauss for almost 12 to 20 years, and they were fired without warning on the basis of their social security numbers. In line with the IRS requirement, they were not given sufficient time, which is usually 120 days to fix that problem. Those are the people who were working in the slaughterhouses, and we know people working, the conditions people go through, they have the higher rate of PTSD and anxiety. this is very emotionally traumatizing environment. Lastly, proposal like slaughterhouses and oil refineries and chemical plants historically raise great sensitivity among citizens due to the fact that surrounding concern with the pollution, stench, the impact meat processing plants can have on workers' mental health. It will forever affect our waterways. It will forever affect our air, public health. It will affect our overall quality of the life. I have also a concern about the smell, noise, trekking times, how they are going to effectively, process up to 500 heads
Sir,
a day.
your time is up,
So
sir.
you can stand on the right side of the screenplay environment. I can only tell you the truth, and what you can do with the truth is your choice.
Sir,
We all deserve to live in peace and without pain. Thank you.
thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Apollonia Cuss. I live on 10845 West St. Martin's Road. As leaders and administrative individuals, please actively listen to your community. We have important concerns and legitimate worries to share with you. Strauss hasn't proved to answer most of our questions, and if they have, to be frank, so far there's been no evidence. That alone should be enough to at least table this topic, also holding off on the special use permit. That way it gives time for you, for us, and for Strauss. They can have better plans, including impact studies on property values, the environment, water, etc. Have better and more detailed plans to, for example, there are no emergency evacuation plans for the cows that are alive if there were an ammonia leak. I understand that there is a belief for more jobs. The original was about 250 jobs, and the site plan called for 272. Doing the math, about 22 jobs isn't quite enough to push this through. This really does come down to listening to your community. So listen to your community and say no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Apollonia. Yes, ma'am, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Joan Hanson, and I'm a resident of the 6th District, the district in which this industry is to be sited. I have not talked to...
Can we have your address, please?
I'm sorry?
Your address, please.
6418 South 122nd Street.
Thank you.
I have not found a neighbor who thinks that this is a good idea. We'll tell you something. We all received a very large assessment this year on our property because Franklin is a very desirable place to live, and our property values have gone up. Our property went up $38,000 this year. We didn't do anything to it. So people are choosing to live in Franklin. When you have a community that is a desirable community, a place that people want to live, you try to build with your available land and have it for good housing, good industry. I can't imagine anyone, well, I guess I should say I can because people have spoken about it, who wants a slaughterhouse in their area. It's just, it doesn't belong in my district. I don't believe it belongs any place in Franklin. I think it's just the wrong industry for us. And I'm also very curious as to how much we've spent for this so far. You know, again, I haven't seen much information. I've heard that this is about a 160-acre site. I've heard, and you can correct me if I'm saying something wrong, and that about a quarter of that so far is for Strauss's current building. But they talk about phase 2, that's another 40, that's 80 acres. Maybe even a phase 3, 120. Are we building this new industrial park for Strauss? And if so, why? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Eggert, E-G-G-E-R-T. I live at 7728 South 51st Street in Franklin. I've been living there well over 20 years. I just wanted to bring up a comment about a childhood experience I had and see if it might relate to this situation. I grew up as a child in the city of Muskego, actually specifically on Little Muskego Lake. I had a very nice childhood. And at that time, this was back in the 60s, Muskego had a rendering plant. And I believe it was on the far southwest corner near Big Muskego Lake somewhere. And all I can remember from about this rendering plant is the fact that on a clear day when the wind was blowing right, it would blow the smell all the way clear over to our house on the lake. And let me tell you about that smell. We all knew what it was from. We all knew what it stood for. It was atrocious, it was ghastly, and it made us all sick. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Yes, sir, good evening.
Good evening. This is Prashant Kothari, longtime resident of Franklin. My address is 8814 West Marshfield Court, Wisconsin. Today, I would like to oppose proposed Strauss expansion for the following reasons. Economic disadvantage to the city of Franklin. Some people are trying to sell this proposal that it will bring additional tax dollars of $266,000 to the city of Franklin. We all know that a business zoning, multi-use zoning, or a residential zoning for a prime location like that has a potential of generating 3 times the tax revenue Strauss would bring us. In addition, the cost associated with this proposal is new water tower, potential new fire station, road repairs, negative impacts to Franklin residents. All these costs outweigh the small revenue the city may get from this expansion. Anyone with business background can tell that this deal is created just to benefit Strauss at the expense of taxpayer dollars. The reality is that this expansion is not economically advantageous to the city of Franklin, as it will increase our residential taxes to benefit Strauss. City of Franklin deserves a better business than Strauss. There are so many questions that have been unanswered by Franklin officials and Strauss with this proposal. Is there any other tax advantage given to Strauss that the public should be aware of? My second concern is new job numbers that are given by Strauss. At the community meeting on October 15th, Strauss mentioned that they have 250 employees currently working at the existing plant on 60th Street. As per the resolution dated 10/1/20, they will have approximately 272 employees combined for both phases. We don't even have a clear breakdown of how many people will be employed by Strauss for phase 1 versus phase 2. Therefore, it is clear to me that they will be laying off employees, existing employees, with phase 1 and maybe adding very few jobs with phase 2. Strauss has been doing false advertising that they will be creating 155 plus new jobs at the proposed facility. I think this proposal will result in job losses. I would like to understand their math behind it because their numbers are not adding up for jobs. As mentioned by Strauss at the community meeting, only three out of 250 employees of Strauss currently live in Franklin. Pinnacle Engineering Group is out of Brookfield. ESI Design Group is out of Heartland. None of these businesses associated with Strauss, and the majority of the Strauss employees have no ties to Franklin. The job numbers are inflated by Strauss, and there is a lack of clear relationship established to show how these jobs and businesses will create an economic advantage to our city of Franklin. Assessed value. As per the project summary, Strauss will be assessed at $1.2 million for the years 2021 to 2028.
Your time is up, sir.
I urge council members to vote no today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, ma'am, good evening.
Hello. Rachel Ryan, 8040 South 55th Street, Franklin. Earlier this year, Strauss employees brought concerns to the Strauss management about a lack of COVID protections. They didn't have the proper PPE. They weren't working 6 feet apart. They're still not. Jerry Busen confirmed that on last Thursday. After that, they complained. There was a complaint filed with OSHA. And then a few months ago, 30 longtime Strauss employees were fired. I was at the protest. There were 100 people outside of Strauss protesting and marching. Some people that were there were Senator Lena Taylor, Senator candidate Michelle Bryan, Senator Chris Larson, County Executive Chris Abele, religious leaders were there, direct action everywhere. The Milwaukee Teachers Education association, other community advisors, regular folks like me who care, were all marching in opposition to Strauss and what they had done to their employees. This woman here, this picture, I'll show you here, this is
Ma'am,
Maria Ramirez. When what her sign says is, working at Strauss 13 years, I was COVID-19 positive because Strauss does not protect us. I work for my 4 children as a single mom. How will I feed my family now? Stop racism at Strauss. All the employees that were fired were Latinos. Also, in these slaughterhouses, if somebody has asthma, if they're afraid that they're going to get COVID, if they don't want to work, they're forced to work. They can't take time off. If they get fired, they will not get unemployment. When I was at the protest, do you know who was not there? Was the union. The union, some of them have spoke today, they don't care about Strauss employees. They weren't there for the employees, okay? This was community leaders and the media, and then after 2 large protests is when Strauss decided to pay the fired workers $264,000 because they were fired because of retaliation and they were unjustly fired. And that was not because of the union. These people would be here today, but they've signed non-disclosure agreements after receiving the money that they can't be here today.
thank you, ma'am, your time.
Please vote no. This is a bad company. They don't have integrity.
Thank you, ma'am.
They exploit animals.
Ma'am.
They exploit workers. They're
Ma'am, your time is
exploiting
up.
you, and they're exploiting all of
Officer.
us in Franklin.
Don't let me, thank you. No, folks, really, come on. Ms. Collins, good evening.
Darlene Collins, 8628 South 116th Street, Franklin, and I've been there for 35 years. A little over a mile from the place. The vote tonight for you should be quite straightforward. Insight Equity Holdings Company that owns Strauss has not met the conditions set forth in the Unified Development Ordinance that governs our city and governs the Common Council. Therefore, since the laws have not been met, you must vote no to the special use permit. According to UDO Section 15-3.0701A, it says that no special use permit shall be granted unless the applicant shall establish the following. That means the burden of proof is upon Strauss. 4, Section A1, which basically says that the proposed development will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of Franklin's comprehensive master plan. The master plan here shows a purple area for a business park over the Strauss area. Common sense says that a slaughterhouse in M1 zoning surrounded by residential zoning is not what was intended by the master plan. In addition, a slaughterhouse is not even appropriate for M1 zoning, or they wouldn't need this special permission to operate there. Further, the burden of proof is upon Strauss for Section A2, which says that the development will not have undue adverse impacts on the adjacent property, character of the area, or the public health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare, and not diminish or impair property values within the community or the neighborhood. Strauss has definitely not proven that my and my neighbors' property values will not diminish. Several real estate experts spoke during the public hearing, said that there would be significant decreases in property values and create houses that were hard to sell or that would never sell. Strauss has submitted 0 proof that our property values will not diminish because no third-party independent studies have been done on property values. Further, Strauss has failed to prove undue adverse impacts because there have been no third-party independent studies done proving that the neighbors' health and safety are not at risk. There have been no DNR studies. There have been no environmental studies addressing air pollution, odor, noise pollution from these big fans that are going to be running, or groundwater or stormwater pollution. I also ask that you please consider the views of the many people who attended the public hearing, where the overwhelming majority were opposed to this development in this location. Please also consider all the opposition expressed to you by the multitude of people from across the city of Franklin who emailed you, texted you, and called you. Consider the people here tonight and all of the Franklin residents who signed the online petition opposing the slaughterhouse expansion. Please represent the people of Franklin like you were voted to do. Therefore, it is quite simple. Since the conditions set forth in the
Ms. Collins,
UDO that govern our
time's up.
city have not been met, you have no choice
Ms. Collins.
but to deny the special use permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. I'm only going to tell you one more time, then I'll ask the officer to escort you out. It's that easy. And I'm dead serious. Go ahead and try me. I'm serious.
We know you are.
Then quit doing that. Just be polite, respect everybody else, quit clapping and making noises. Ma'am, please.
Hi, thank you for listening. I'm Lisa Castanozzi, 4451 Oakland Avenue, Milwaukee County. I just urge, having been through this in Milwaukee, I urge you to step back and ask for those impact studies, get a little more information. Impact studies, environmental, water, traffic, roads, look at the numbers. Is this deal going to cost the taxpayers and yourselves in this community over time? I believe it is. I study slaughterhouses. There's thousands of studies available to show the detrimental impacts of a large-scale slaughterhouse. Strauss was a smaller slaughterhouse before. This is a much bigger deal. And there is not a city in the country trying to bring in a slaughterhouse in this kind of community in the entire country. And I know that for a fact. It doesn't belong here. There's a short-term, impact. You might make some money initially, but then the impact will be larger than you can imagine. It's really upsetting. And then I hear and I see all the Franklin residents opposed, just like there were in Milwaukee. And it's an opportunity to just step back and do some studies. And this is not a small-owned company any longer. It's owned by Inside Equity out of Texas. Equity companies buy certain types of companies to take them over, expand them, and sell them again. The next company that buys them could be Smithfield, which is owned by China. It's foreign-owned. Do you think they're going to care? They're going to want to expand, and you're going to be known as the slaughterhouse capital of Wisconsin. It's hard to see the impact if you don't know, and I know. You've got to take a stronger, harder look at this before you vote. I urge you to take a step back, delay it, call for a referendum, do the studies, get the impact studies, and then make your decision. It's your decision, it's the residents' decision, but I don't think you have enough information. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Yes, sir, good evening.
Hi, I'm Dave Sorensen, 8669 South Deerwood Lane. And I actually want to talk about the whole process even more so than Strauss. I found out about what was happening in early October. I'm not a particularly political person. Basically, what I was told from the beginning was, this is a done deal. And I spoke to my councilman and said, well, that's ridiculous. How could this be a done deal? It's so counterintuitive, and there's been no public forums. I would like to state for everybody on the planning council and all the aldermen, these things are not set up as a tick mark in the box. A democracy doesn't mean you decide ahead of the game, and then you arbitrarily hold meetings when the answer is already done. And I really get that. That is the impression of what's happening. So we attended the planning council meeting. Hours and hours, hundreds of people complaining, didn't know this, didn't have much information. There are no factual studies at all about environmental impact studies, property values. All of this is going off that our mayor would like it and thinks it's a good idea, which I'm not impugning, I think he does. But that is not how a democracy works. We pay very high taxes here for the great school system we have, but we did not elect officials to be our parents, make decisions for us, and then arbitrarily waste our time in meetings during the height of a pandemic if the decision has already been made. That is not how we work. And to the mayor and to people who are considering voting this through, we may have been duped once in a previous election, but we will not be duped again.
Thank you, Mr. Sorensen. Yes, sir.
Ryan Contreras, 1128 Spruce Street, Delavan, Wisconsin. We're here with the United Food and Commercial Workers, Local 1473, and I am currently the union representative for the employees over at Strauss Brands here in Franklin, Wisconsin. During the time I have represented the employees at Strauss, I have done frequent safety walkthroughs and regular visits with the members during breaks, lunches, and at the end of their shifts. During the walkthroughs, I have definitely noticed that Strauss has outgrown its current operation, and I have also got to see the hard work and the skilled efforts the members put in on a day-to-day basis, contributing to the company's success. Over the last couple weeks, I have spent more time than I usually do with the Strauss members to get an idea of what their view is on this expansion. During my conversations with the employees, all of them were very hopeful and very ecstatic to hear of the possibility to work in a brand new state-of-the-art facility. Not only would this new plant provide some relief to the current SOPs required of them to do their jobs, but it would also bring more opportunities and job security for the employees and their families, and open the door for others in the community as well to work at Strauss. I have personally worked in food manufacturing for close to 14 years with Hormel Foods Corporation and Bird's Eye Foods in Darien, Wisconsin. And I can tell you firsthand that these types of jobs provide good, stable, and dependable employment for the communities that they are in, even during an economic recession. That's when I went to Hormel Foods and left construction, and I had 40 hours every week. The employees at Strauss that I have come to know are very, very good, very hard-working, committed people who not only want this expansion, but deserve this to be approved as well. So I urge you to vote yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Hirsch. I reside at 7867 South 83rd Street in Franklin. I wasn't planning on talking tonight, so I'm going to read the letter that I sent to our Common Council. This is from both my husband and myself. We hope this message finds you well. We are Aaron and Kelly Hirsch, and we reside at 7867 South 83rd Street in Franklin, Wisconsin. We write today to express our concerns about the upcoming Common Council vote regarding an application for a special use permit submitted by Strauss Brands LLC. It appears as if Strauss Brands LLC has failed to meet the criteria required to obtain a special use permit as codified in the City of Franklin's Unified Development Ordinance, UDO. UDO-15-9.0103 regulates applications for special use permits. UDO-15-9.0103C requires that a special use application shall be accompanied by adequate evidence showing that the proposed special use will conform to the standards set forth in Division 15-3.0700 of this ordinance and those other standards which may also be applicable. The standards set forth in UDO-15-3.0701A2 stipulate that any proposed use must not have a substantial or undue adverse or detrimental effect upon or endanger adjacent property, the character of the area, or the public health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare, and not substantially diminish and impair property values within the community or neighborhood. According to the UDO, all applicants for a special use permit must provide adequate evidence that the proposed use of a site will conform with all standards stipulated in the UDO. Strauss Brands LLC has provided no evidence that its proposed development will not substantially diminish and impair property values within the community or neighborhood. While what is considered adequate in reference to evidence is subjective, the fact that evidence of some sort must be submitted by all applicants for a special use permit for all stipulated standards is not. Strauss Brands LLC has not met the criteria for obtaining a special use permit, and their application must be denied. The law exists to prevent the arbitrary exercise of power. We urge you to support the rule of law by voting to deny the application for a special use permit submitted by Strauss Brands LLC until such time as they are compliant with all applicable UDO standards. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Aaron and Kelly Hirsch. I do also want to read something. I don't have the time? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hirsch. Yes, sir, good evening.
Good evening, council
Could you come a
members.
little closer to the microphone, please?
Good
Thank you.
evening, council members. My name is Manish Shroff. I have lived in Franklin for more than 15 years. My address is 8232 South Preserve Way, Franklin. I'm here today to express my displeasure and opposition to the proposed Strauss meat plant expansion in the city of Franklin. The primary reason for my opposition is due to the significant impact this expansion will cause to the environment via air and water pollution to our city and the globe at large. Let me walk you through the impacts these kind of initiatives have on the environment based on research and analysis by several agencies such as the USDA, EPA, etc. To begin with, let's talk about air pollution. Slaughterhouses are responsible for large outputs of greenhouse gases such as methane and carbon dioxide, both major contributors to climate change. These gases are created both in the process of slaughter and by degradation of wastewater. Wastewater contains a number of organic materials, all of which release methane and carbon dioxide when they decompose. The other cause of air pollution by slaughterhouses is due to the electricity used to run them, as well as packing, cooling, and transporting the dead animals. The next cause of pollution is water pollution. One of the largest environmental concerns associated with slaughterhouses is wastewater and water contamination. The United States alone has 32 slaughterhouses responsible for dumping 55 million gallons of pollutants into the waterways annually. The wastewater from slaughterhouses, as you can imagine, contains all sorts of disgusting materials known as suspended solids, including fat, grease, and manure. According to the Environmental Working Group, there are 8 slaughterhouses that are ranked among the top 20 polluters of surface water in the US. Collectively, these 8 slaughterhouses dumped 30 million pounds of contaminants, including nitrogen, phosphorus, and ammonia, into waterways in just 1 year. Nitrogen pollution in waterways can also kill aquatic life and make it much more difficult for fish, insects, and other creatures dependent on water to survive.
Mr. Schroff, your time is up, sir.
I have just one more.
Mr. Schroff, I can't allow it.
Based on
Mr. Schroff, I can't allow it. Thank you very much, sir. That's why, for those of you who weren't here for my introduction, please assemble your thoughts, because 3 minutes goes really fast. And if you're going to read an article,
Testing.
that's probably not a good use of your time.
Testing.
Yes, ma'am. While I was talking, go ahead.
Yes. Hello, my name is Belinda Burtis. I live at 5254 South 24th Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53221. I'm about 8 blocks south of College Avenue or Franklin. I was born and raised here, went to high school and college here. This is an example of big ag or agribusiness, and possibly the mayor and common council profiting great amounts of money while everyday hardworking persons suffer reduced property values, toxic water, and air. Fact, quote, the Nazis, one of the models they used for designing the camps of mass extermination was the large-scale American slaughterhouse. Jane Goodall, winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. A proposed $4.5 million Milwaukee incentive package for Strauss project was held back after organizers from the people living in Century City showed up days before its potential approval. Century City is a predominantly black area near where I went to high school at Rufus King. The people of this area voted against the city and the mayor because they were putting their community first, not money in the pockets of people with great power. Some meatpacking workers and advocates say meat processing company Strauss Brands fired many of its employees in Franklin after complaints about the lack of COVID-19 safety measures. This was in the journal Sentinel. Quote, slaughterhouses are destroying the environment, shrinking water supplies, and wasting huge amounts of energy, unquote, Jane Goodall. I just returned from living in California for 20 years. There were countless startups and entrepreneurs in every industry. Why are we not reaching out to the people of Franklin, students of our state's great colleges and universities? Are we proud to say, Franklin and Wisconsin, state of the slaughterhouse? We are moving backwards. Like other divisions of agriculture, slaughterhouse and meat processing workers are predominantly black and brown people living in low-income communities. Every day, meat processing workers are knowingly exposed to serious safety hazards in their workplace. Many of the injuries and deaths that workers experience today are very similar to those first exposed to the general public in Upton Sinclair's 1906 novel, The Jungle. There has been an exodus of manufacturing from the United States. This has eroded the domestic capabilities needed to turn inventions into high-quality, cost-competitive products, damaging America's abilities to retain and lead in many sectors, including machine tools, metal forming, precision bearings, aerospace, biotechnology, and high-end medical devices. I say let's stop the Strauss slaughterhouse and create business or businesses that are innovative, forward-thinking, and will make Franklin and the state of Wisconsin proud.
Thank you very much.
Am I done?
You're done.
Thank you.
And we have most of those industries in our business park. Yes, sir. No, ma'am.
Are you allowed to make comments on my comment?
I am. Thank you, ma'am.
I disagree.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Shameful.
Thank you. Sometimes it is. Go ahead, sir.
You're shameful.
Okay. Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
My name is Rajiv Sarana, and I live at 3754 West Cypress Lane, Franklin, Wisconsin, 53132. I'm a Franklin resident for past 17 years and a business owner. I'm a proponent of bringing a sustainable businesses to Franklin that can help bring additional revenue to the city, which in turn will reduce property taxes and create more jobs. It is important that Franklin citizens are fully informed and involved, have complete transparency and facts from the committee members as well as Strauss management. We are talking about creating new and more jobs. Studies have found many of the workers in meat industries are illegal immigrants. Strauss has fired 31 of their employees recently who are working at their factory in Franklin from past 12 to 17 years because they did not have legal document. Why did it take 17 years to find that these employees were not legal? Didn't you think that this took away American jobs? This all creates doubts and question about the company policies and procedures of Strauss. We should be looking into bringing the businesses which are sustainable and can bring growth, create high-paying jobs and revenue for city as well as citizens. Why don't we think about building technology park or something which help our kids and community? A future elementary school have been proposed closer to this business site. Think about this emotional and psychological effect on the growing kids when they see animals are brought to slaughter. We would like to teach our kids to be gentle and not provide them an environment of violence, fear, and death. Another most important factor for not bringing such businesses in a local presence of, has been linked to higher rates of violent crimes with communities. In 2001, bestseller Fast Food Nation, author Eric Schlosser paints a grim picture of the effects of a new meatpacking plant on Lexington, Nebraska. In 1990, IBP opened a slaughterhouse in Lexington. A year later, the town with a population of roughly 7,000 had the highest crime rate in the state of Nebraska. Within the decade, the number of serious crimes doubled. The number of Medicaid cases nearly doubled. Lexington became the major distribution center for illegal drugs. Gang members appeared in town and committed drive-by shooting. The majority of Lexington white inhabitants moved elsewhere. In short, I would like to stress that we should be investing into the business, which will have a positive social and economic impact to our community. Therefore, I urge the council members to think twice before they vote and vote no for this proposal. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Hold on one second. Okay, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deepak Ahuja, residing at 6828 South Juliana Drive, Franklin. So actually, say we are either talking about two type of problem, whether the problem is with the slaughterhouse or the problem is with the location of the slaughterhouse. I think many of us believe that the problem is with the slaughterhouse due to whatever reasons like pollution, etc. Many of people here think so, but I bet that everyone is thinking the location of the slaughterhouse. Nobody wants to be that in the Franklin, first of all. Okay, say I'm from India. Say in India there is a issue with the land because of large population. But when we compare here, there is a lot of land here. So why only Strauss is choosing Franklin? Why not any other county or the town? That is a bit hard to understand, and why we are agreeing on that. And we all are protesting about the location to avoid impact as a residents in daily lives. So with due respect, means there are a couple of questions I can ask from you. Would you like to buy a property or a house near such kind of location? What all the council member? Probably no. Will the residents that are already located nearby the area, are they willing to sell because all their children, grandchildren are residing so long, whether that will be so easy for them to move out because of such kind of decisions? I disagree with that. And it is not easy to change the plans also, right? Suppose I have a daughter of, say, who she's studying in high school, how I can decide to move away because I choose to live in Franklin. So when I was in Green Bay a couple of years back, I bought the house in Franklin. That was my first house in my whole lifetime. And the only thing I was seeing like the school, colleges, and the good community. But if the slaughterhouse, if I have come to know, I probably not have bought that house. Okay, so now just seeing if your relatives or friend, if somebody is thinking to join Franklin community as a resident, probably they will also think the same. So that is what my point is. Just think about those emotional guys. You guys have a lot of lands, everything. Company will have all the measure of pollution, etc. But why only that in Franklin, not outside? Will they contact? Did they contacted any other county or community before? If yes, did they say no? If they say no, why we are agreeing on this? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Hi, Clodagh McGuinness, 11021 West Cold Spring Road, Greenfield, Wisconsin. And thank you all for your time. I hope to be a future resident of Franklin, and in recent years have had 3 bids on property, one of which was in very near proximity to the slaughterhouse. It was very concerning to be at the last meeting where a huge number of local residents appeared during a pandemic to voice their opposition and were ignored. I had a business in Elm Grove for 18 years where there is currently huge opposition to high-end apartments that will take over the convent. Could you imagine if a slaughterhouse was even mentioned in Elm Grove area? The reality is it would never even be mentioned or considered, even on a tiny scale, and North Milwaukee rejected it also. So I'm asking, why are Franklin residents being ignored and expected to live next to a 500 a day slaughterhouse? I still have hope that the residents are heard and respected, and that I too will also be a resident of the Franklin area in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Dennis Beal. I am at 9053 South Cordgrass Circle West. My question is, what's in it for the residents of Wisconsin, from the residents of Franklin? I know maybe taxes, but people don't live here because of low taxes. If anything, In Milwaukee County, we're one of the highest taxes. We don't live for that. This plant is 3.75 times larger than Strauss's current plant. Plus, it's got a slaughterhouse, so it's not comparable. The smell and pollution are my main concern. And the only people that seem to approve this are people that work for Strauss or are somehow connected with Strauss. And I'm sure many of the people that work for Strauss or are connected with Strauss don't even live here. You are taking a beautiful community and risking pollution and very bad smells. So if Strauss wants to build a new plant, that's fine, but not here.
Thank you, Don. Yes, ma'am, good evening.
Hi, I'm Mary Dukewitz, 10250 West Scepter Circle, Franklin. I'm here to ask you to vote no, mainly because of the residential people it'll affect. I grew up on a small farm. We had 20 cows. I know what 20 cows can smell like, and that's in open air. Maybe in the facility you might have the smell taken care of. But all these cows coming from wherever and however far they're coming from, they're not wearing diapers, and your roads, your highways, your streets are going to be left with some of their personal poop and their feces or whatever you want to call it. I'm worried about the pollution of lakes and rivers and our water table. I'm concerned about where all the waste from these 500 cows is going to be disposed of. How will it be disposed? And all the trucks that are going to be coming to pick up the waste and removal is in addition to the trucks bringing the cows. So my biggest concern is a lot of traffic jams. There are a lot of people that live out in Wind Lake. They have big fancy homes around the lake. They come in Highway 36 into the city to work every day. How is all this traffic with all these trucks going to work out for them? So I'm just asking you to vote no, think about it, take more time. I don't have anything against the plan that they have, but I think they should be looking more out into a bigger area into the country. There's a lot of space. This is too close to the people that have worked hard to have the homes that they have here in Franklin. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Janet Tessler. I live at 8697 South Deerwood Lane in Franklin. At the last meeting, I expressed my concern over the negative impact of that the slaughterhouse would have on our air, water, land, property values, etc. No one did then or has since given me any indication that any of this is a guarantee that it won't have an impact. Also, that night, Strauss sat here and talked about that there would be 20 trucks a day. 20. And I can't help but wonder how they're going to get 500 head of cattle in here in 20 trucks a day, and how many trucks it will take to remove the waste or the product. I don't feel that there has been transparency with any of this to the residents, not by Strauss and not by the city of Franklin. When everyone, I hear people talking about how Strauss is a family-owned business. It's been in Franklin for 50 years. They were. They're not anymore. They're no longer a family-owned business. They're owned by an equity firm company in Texas. Who does not care about any of us at all? I'm sure that part of that purchase included Strauss pushing to get this through. Strauss didn't care about Franklin when they were trying to get their slaughterhouse in the city of Milwaukee. They were ready to just leave Franklin and say, the heck with you guys. We're going where we can get a better deal. So what do we owe Strauss? What do we owe this equity firm? We don't owe them anything. but I feel the city of Franklin owes the residents. This isn't just going to impact our property values. I don't even live a mile and a half from this location. I love opening my windows in the summer. I won't be able to do that. I live right off Loomis Road. Is Strauss or the equity firm going to pay for my additional air conditioning because I can't open my windows because of the traffic noise or the odor? Are they going to pay for the additional repairs on our roads with all the trucking coming in? They're not even going to be paying 100% on their assessed value for taxes. They're going to be paying what, 60%? Can I pay 60%? I would like to. I would like to pay 60%. I just got an assessment that increased my value $25,000.
And your time's up. Sorry.
Please vote no or don't vote at all tonight. I beg of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's good. You're all resisting. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Hi, Tamara Grobschmidt, 8320 River Terrace Drive.
It's been a while. Nice to see you, Tamara.
Nice to see you too. I'm here to oppose it based upon location, and there is something that I don't think the community is as aware of yet. The Franklin Public Schools has purchased land just approximately a mile east of this for future development of elementary schools as well as fields for athletic fields. And this area with a school will possibly bring more housing, right? But if there's something along the lines of a slaughterhouse, it'll be very difficult to encourage people to build around a school because of it being a negative kind of connotation. The other thing that I was concerned about, last week, the engineer who developed it talked about the ozone cleaning scrubbers. The ozone cleaning scrubbers have to be tinkered with, right? According to how much smell is output. However, we know that ozone can be harmful to both the employees and also to community. When inhaled, ozone can damage the lungs. Relatively low amounts can cause chest pain, coughing, shortness of breath, and throat irritation. Ozone may also worsen chronic respiratory disease such as asthma and compromise the ability of the body to fight respiratory infections. This is from the EPA. It's concerning to me that something like this could dissipate into the air, into the community, into an area where an elementary school would be very close by in the future, and possibly kids would be exposed for 6 years of their playground lives to something that could cause them to have problems down the road in their lives. So I just would like you to consider the location based upon this land being right there. Also, I think we were part of a committee many years ago for Chapter 980 because we realized that that was a stigmatized type of thing we didn't want to bring to Franklin. I think you can tell from this community and the way that people are reacting right now, it feels very much the same. And I just want you to remember that time when we were serving together to try to stop that in Franklin and think about it from, that's what this is again. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. Ms. Gint.
Dana Gint, 9011 West Hawthorne Lane. First of all, I want to bring up that at the Planning Commission meeting, there was over 150 people that attended the meeting. I don't know if everyone was aware of that. I know there was a couple aldermen that attended that. And the majority of those people were in opposition, but obviously that's not on the recording and things like that. I want to bring that to people's attention. The other thing is that I have serious concerns about the standards and process that is being executed by the city. The UDO is created to protect the citizens of Franklin. It's not created to cater to the developers, which obviously I have 4 years of experience with hundreds of amendments for the Rock Sports Complex. And I would appreciate, I'm sure you guys can do a better job this time and slow down and actually follow the ordinances that are established to protect the citizens and just the community as a whole. I know there's concerns about the Ryan Creek Interceptor. There's so much information that you guys do not have that you need to research. An environmental impact statement, property value assessment, which should also be done around the stadium. And I do not understand why the city of Franklin is taking in projects that other communities reject. The junkyard, Cudahy doesn't want. The slaughterhouse, the city of Milwaukee doesn't want. The stadium, Oak Creek doesn't want. Why are you guys accepting the garbage of the entire area into our beautiful community to the detriment for the long term? This is not a short-term decision that you're making. This has substantial impact for years and decades. So another thing is that obviously with COVID has doubled within the last 8 days. So to have reasonable access to even attend this meeting, for people to have public comment, we have to risk our health. We are at the community burden rate. We're over it, I believe. That's very alarming that people have to risk their life just to come protect their property values and their lives. But we have to, because you do not allow public comment unless we're in person for this type of hearing. I think there should be special exceptions made for this type of situation when it's so excessively dangerous to come here. And I request that this be tabled until you get the full information and have all the information before you're making a decision. Kevin Haley had over 100 questions at the Planning Commission meeting. So why are you rushing this through? Shouldn't he be able to ask his questions? You guys have all that information before you're making these decisions. Other people brought up that you're not following the UDO. Why aren't you following the UDO? This is what was created to protect all of us. I mean, we do not need another public nuisance in Franklin. We already have one. It's called Rock Sports Complex. My property values have went down. There's no evidence that the Strauss project, and it's a unique project just like the stadium, that you don't have the adequate information to make such a substantial decision. I ask that you vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gitt. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Mike Sider, 8689 South Deerwood Lane. I'm here to ask the council to postpone their decision on the special use permit. And I would like to see the studies on the real estate assessment and the environmental impact statement. I just wanted to say that during the meeting, someone asked a question about real estate assessment, and a person from the council, from the planning board, took out their phone and looked up appraisals of homes at, excuse me. I just want to say that these third-party independent studies can be paid for by the investment group that owns Straussman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Amy Z, 2878 South Kinnickinnick Avenue.
Amy, do you want to give us your real name, please?
That's the name I go by. Thank you. You can stare at me like all you want, Mayor Olson. By the way, Mayor Olson, it's really nice to see you face to face instead of attacking me on social media, calling me a conspiracy theorist, which, if caring about the community, about the people here, the workers, the animals, if that makes me a conspiracy theorist, then I guess I am. So it's really nice to see you, but I'm not here to talk about that all night. I'm here to talk about what happened 1 year ago in Century City. Why haven't we learned from this? This is embarrassing. The same thing is happening to the city of Franklin that happened to the city of Milwaukee. Our team in last year walked around the perimeter of the proposed slaughterhouse deal made by Strauss days before the Common Council was set to vote on it, and we asked everybody 2 questions. 1, do you know about this? 2, do you approve it? And guess what they said? No and no. And you did it, and they did it again. They're working with city officials to try to jam this deal in. And I've heard the word transparency and integrity. Each of you need to start showing that and stop letting this man bully you around. Vote for the people, your public servants. All these people are desperately pleading with you. Protect their homes, protect their businesses, protect our land and air and water. Don't let this man bully you into a yes vote. Vote no. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Yeah. Is this okay with the mask like this?
Well,
Hear me?
go ahead, sir.
Hi, everybody. My name is Reed Pentic. I've lived in Franklin now for about 6 years.
What is your address, please,
again?
Reed?
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can. Yeah.
Okay. There now, I got COVID, right? 2800 West Hilltop Lane is my address. I guess I just would have I didn't plan to speak, but I would have regretted not saying a couple words after sitting in the room and listening to everybody. I guess what I'd say is I limited understanding on this, but you guys are voting on a special use permit to basically change what this company has been. I guess I'd say that you all ought to, when you make this vote, remember who elected you. It was the people. It wasn't a private equity firm. And it certainly wasn't a private equity firm in Texas, that I know. So that's what I have. I'll acknowledge it's not easy. This stuff isn't easy, but hopefully, you guys, somehow you got to decide. But you're hearing a lot from a lot of citizens here, and they're the ones that elected you guys, not a Texas private equity firm. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Girish Mantri. I live in 9427 Southwood Court on Ryan Road. So I built my house here in 2011, and like when I came here, I researched a lot of neighborhoods. I was working in Racine, but I looked at Greenfield, Franklin, Racine, Kenosha, everywhere. And I thought Franklin was the right community to raise the kids here. So I came to US about 20 years back. And when you land in US, the fresh air that you feel as soon as you get out of the airport, it's beautiful. I know what it smells like when I say go to, back to India, and you land out of the airport, you can smell, some different air actually, but the air is crisp here. When you drive on the countryside, you can smell the staunchy smell that you feel when you are driving past the slaughterhouse. This is what we are going to be having for generations if this slaughterhouse comes in this neighborhood. The air pollution, the water pollution, that's all going to affect my property value, as well as a lot of other things, like my kids. I don't know if they would like to stay here in future or not. But there's other things, which I also want to bring out. There's a traffic impact, okay? I would like to oppose this proposal as it creates an undue adverse impact on the residents of Franklin and the neighborhood residential properties. The traffic impact is left out of this consideration. The cost we'll be paying as a Franklin residents will be far more than the additional tax dollars that we will be collecting out of it. The proposed site is surrounded by all residential properties. Trucks will be carrying cattle between 1 a.m. to 1 p.m., would negatively impact the sleep and life of neighborhood residents. And I live right on Ryan Road. So I can, I can feel the noise. Actually, I can hear the noise if a lot of trucks are driving on the Ryan Road at night. After a hard work of day, Franklin residents don't want to hear the noisy trucks in the middle of the night. We don't want the noise of the cattle in the middle of the night. While in transit, we don't want to smell the urine, fecal odor, and cattle in the middle of the night. Are a few additional tax dollars more important than people's sleep who live nearby? Do you consider the psychological impact on the people and their work and the family lives for being sleep deprived? Trucks carrying cattle will create waste and urine and fecal on our roads that we will have to smell not only at night, but also during the day. Currently, Strauss is estimating 24 trucks per day in phase 1 expansion, and it's going to increase heavily in the next phases. So I want the council to vote no on this. Again, think of air pollution. That's the main thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Sarah, Mayor Alderman. My name is Sarah Olivas, and I live at 7898 West Putes Road here in Franklin. And I gotta tell you, I just found out about this a couple of days ago, and I thought it was worth my time to come out and hear what the residents have to say. My goodness, a slaughterhouse. When you think of a slaughterhouse, you think, oh my, that should be in the middle of nowhere, like in this big expansive property in the country. And here, all these wonderful, precious residents have come out and clearly expressed concern after concern after concern. And I guess what I was hearing tonight is they're not qualified for a special use permit, so that you should refrain from voting at all or voting no. And I think that the residents have made a lot of sense. You know, they're asking for studies on property values, traffic patterns, you know, groundwater pollution, smells. You know, if it's going to attract rodents, that right there should say it all, in my opinion. But I just feel that it would be better. I like a good steak, but I just feel a slaughterhouse shouldn't be put, even though it's a industrial park, it really is a residential area. And I just think it's going to put a burden on the residents. And, you know, I'm not saying that you've done this in the past. I haven't been civically active or involved. But I do know that I personally am so tired of hearing people apologize and say they're sorry after the fact, when things could have been prevented before it did happen. And I guess, yeah, you've heard from a lot of concerned residents. They've all brought up very viable issues and concerns, and, you know, I guess we're just hoping that you hear us. You hear the residents in the city of Franklin, and postpone your vote or vote no until, you know, you can assure people. I mean, we all love Franklin. That's why we're here. So I just think it would be a tragic mistake to rush something like this. And, you know, that's something I wanted to comment on. My goodness, I just heard about
Sarah?
this a couple. Did I reach my time?
Sorry.
Oh, here, I thought I wasn't going to have enough to say because I just found out about it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Casey Marcel. I reside at 26205 South Wind Lake Road. I understand this proposal could bring in jobs, and that is a positive aspect. However, I ask, what kind of jobs does this bring in? I encourage you to look at some studies that have been shown to increase violent crime in places where there are slaughterhouses, including rape and murder. It is a deviation that is small, but it is a relative thing. Imagine being within a facility where you're committing slaughter daily. That is your job, is to kill animals. This does have a mental effect on people, and they do become numb to it over time. I just encourage you to look at these studies and just take that into consideration. Thank you.
Casey, what city are you in?
I'm in Wind Lake.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Lewandowski.
Hi, Leroy Lewandowski, 8030 West Winston Way. I wish you would have these people talk properly into the mics. In fact, most of the common council here don't even know how to use the mics. I'm here at 93 years old, and I've been in Franklin for 24 years. And I've never seen anything positive for the citizens here. It's always somebody got their into somebody's pocket or something. But we have the quarry. They can't solve that problem. There has been a meeting most of the 24 years that I've been here, and they haven't solved that problem. We have a landfill. We got the rock that people are complaining about, and now special use again. Everyone on this common council knows me and what I stand for. I want you, and I'm asking you, if I have to plead, no, special use, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Autumn, 615 Sycamore Ave, South Milwaukee.
Autumn, what's your last name, please?
Harrington.
Thank you.
I vote no for the animal slaughterhouse because it is inhumane against animals. They have much of a right as we do. It'll cause more pollution. The smell is terrible, and it's just a huge eyesore. As a young person growing in this community and wanting to live in this area, it'll cause me to want to move away and not raise a family here. So I urge the council members to vote no today for this expansion. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Belsorowski, 11930 West Ryan Road. I'm about less than a half mile away from this, and I do definitely oppose this. For everything that's been said, property values, I mean, at the planning commission meeting, a bunch of people came up, supposedly real estate experts, that said this will affect our property values. The engineer did a Zillow search at the existing place and it seemed like it wasn't affecting there. Well, this isn't the same thing. This building is almost 4 times the size of what they got there. And it's in an industrial park already. The odor, you can put as many safety devices, ozone generators, fans, air scrubbers, everything fails eventually. And when that happens, it'll just depend on which way the wind direction is, whether it's a new residential area and a new school, or if it's us existing houses that are gonna get the smell. At that meeting last week, the noise value, I found out that 1 a.m. is when they're gonna start operations. That means a truck comes at 1, another one comes at 2, 3, 4. That's crazy. Would anybody on the common council like to live next to that? I mean, this should be an industrial park or out in the middle of nowhere with that kind of truck traffic. Or else, I mean, we might as well just all go to third shift because that's crazy. That's all I got.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. Seeing no one else rise. Okay.
Hi, my name is Billy Harrington. I live at 615 Sycamore Avenue, South Milwaukee. And I just want to say I oppose this, and I hope you please vote no today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harrington. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Alex. I live at 3918 South Terra Hill Drive in Greenfield. Just a couple studies.
Alex, what's your last name, please?
Serhalski.
Thank you.
Yep. Just a couple studies I'd like to make aware of. There is a financial impact of what's going to be going on here. A vote for the water tower is being scheduled right after this topic for a special use permit for Strauss. Why is this water tower park being discussed suddenly and rapidly now at the same time as Strauss's expansion? Why is this water tower needed for Franklin all of a sudden? Is it to support Strauss's business operations? Why do taxpayers have to pay for the water tower to support Strauss's business? This creates a red flag that city authorities are bending backwards to support Strauss at any cost, even if it puts more burden on Franklin taxpayers. Also, there is an environmental impact. In the community meeting on October 15th, Strauss acknowledged that the BOD, TSS, and FOG and pH levels have been significantly higher than the MMSD limits, polluting our water systems and habitat for long periods. Is there a reason they do not care about installing wastewater treatment at the current plant, but instead choose to pollute our water systems by paying a surcharge? Have our city officials check the discharge of ammonia, chlorine, bacteria, phosphorus, nitrogen, and other dangerous pollutants by the existing Strauss plant? Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jolly.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle Jolly. I live at 5536 West Allwood in Franklin. I just wanted to share a memo from the fire department. with a couple of the concerns that they had. The first being the ammonia contact use. The fire department has a concern with the amounts being used regardless of the use in other industries. It seems this amount, of which I'm unsure, is very concerning considering the dangers of the chemical that are amplified with large quantities being stored. The fact that the fire station 1 is not close enough to respond in the event of an accident or event with dangerous chemicals being used. The report states, quote, the proposed use would have a longer wait time with respect to fire and EMS calls for service and likely unacceptable for industry standards. And so that's all I have there. But I also wanted to point out of everybody, I have made note, there's only been 3 people that have spoken tonight that are for this, and all 3 of them are related or somehow work for Strauss. And again, people have said several times tonight, like, you guys were appointed by the people, by the constituents, the citizens here, the residents, and we are all crying out to you to not allow this to go through. Thank you.
Thank you. Don, good evening.
My name's Don Sevar. I live 8830 South 116th Street. I just want to come here, and I don't want to repeat what everybody else has been saying, but I think we're spinning our wheels here. Let's vote no and get it over with. This company is not for us. I think they started out with a family company, and it's not the family that's doing this. It's a big outfit, and I think they're just taking advantage of a small city. So in other words, I say vote no, and this thing is a no-brainer from the day go. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Have a nice night. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
My name is Cap Zerhilski, 3918 South Terra Hill Drive, Greenfield, 53220. So beef processing water usage primarily from carcass washing.
Ma'am, can you get closer to the microphone, please?
Beef processing water usage primarily from carcass washing and process cleanup has been reported in the range of 150 to 450 gallons per animal processed. As a general rule, meat processors use about 1 gallon of water per pound of processed hamburger meat. With 500 cows per day at a max of 450 gallons per animal, that's 225,000 gallons of water per day. How much of the water usage by Strauss is coming out of the taxpayers' dollars? Is the high water usage even good for our planet? In my opinion, Franklin wouldn't even need another water tower if Strauss did not have high water usage for their operations. I also think it's really ironic that Strauss is proposing this plan for jobs for citizens in Wisconsin. It doesn't make sense because how many of those people are here? They didn't round up a bus and grab people who need jobs to come here tonight. The same 3 to 4 people have talked from the union positively on Strauss's behalf, but where's everybody else who needs a job? Where's the unemployment line? It's just kind of silly that you think bringing people from impoverished areas to work here in Franklin makes sense. Where are the community jobs? Why don't you have more sustainable things coming into play here? Where are the gardens? We have a food shortage going on right now. Where are the things like that during a pandemic that you could actually put in place in a big acreage area like that that actually would be good for the community and it would be therapeutic for people to work there? Why have violence coming into your area? It doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Hi. My name is Josephine German, and I am a freshman student at FHS. And I would just like to say for you guys to vote no on this based on basically what everyone is saying in this room. And I feel it's very important for you to listen to the citizens of Franklin. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine.
Huh?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Sandy Jardis, 10570 West St. Martin's Road. I think I'm the last one. I'm so proud of this community and thank them for coming out to talk to you all. And I'm so torn about this. I understand the need for business in Franklin. I've lived here 15 or more years. I don't want to see these trucks of baby cows on their way to be slaughtered. I don't want to drive through the stuff that falls out of the trucks in and out on their way back. There's not only the inn, there's all the stuff that comes out. Having worked at Blood Center of Wisconsin downtown, knowing the environment that they leave behind when they're hauling out the waste, it's not a community business. It's not a family environment. This belongs out in the suburbs somewhere where there's not a lot of families and homes and schools. You know, I don't know what else to say. Everyone said it all tonight. It's been a fantastic showing, and I appreciate everybody listening tonight. I know that you're going through it on this, but you know, the community has spoken. You need to hear what they're saying and really make the right decision here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm sorry, citizen comment period, sorry. Okay. Move to item C, approval of the common council meeting minutes of October 6th. Any additions or corrections? Alderman Mayor.
Sandy, did you get a chance to take a look at that?
Madam Clerk,
No, I'm sorry, I did not. We had
is there a motion on the table?
700 people in here today.
Understood, okay.
So moved on the table.
All those in favor of the table till the next meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. No public hearings, no organizational business, no letters and petitions. I did mention, for those of you, I remind you, if you're not going to do trick or treat, these signs are available. Clerk's office, health department, library, etc. Go to reports and recommendations. Item 1, consent agenda. We want to take out of order item B. On items A, C.
Motion to table B.
Second. Let's do this right. On items A, C, and D, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On item B, Alderman Wilhelm.
Motion to table, no matter what order.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
To which date, Alderman Wilhelm? Alderman Wilhelm? To what date?
Probably next meeting will be fine.
I'll go with it.
Motion carries. Item 1.1, a report, status update from Bear. Yeah, let's do it again. All those in favor of the table of the next meeting, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Mills, update on the developments, Texan Criminal District number 6.
I have some packets as well. I can hand out some pictures and things.
Mayor, I'll be right back.
Okay. Let the record reflect that Alderman Wilhelm has left her seat at 8:35. Folks in the second to the last row, you can put the signs down or lower them, please, so the people in the back can see. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
that microphone and get close to it.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Okay, SR?
Perfect, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity this evening to provide an update on Ryan Meadows and Loomis Business Park. We've actually been working on this project now for over 5 years. Time flies. I think we started discussions in 2015. It's been a great partnership, certainly not without a considerable amount of effort and work on behalf of staff, electeds, citizenry, all the third parties. Again, just very appreciative to have it to this point and have some great progress. Goal this evening is to provide an update related to both the construction progress as well as sales efforts and a bit of just a touch point to see where we're at in the overall development and life cycle. Also going to touch on how it relates to the existing timelines that we called out within the development agreement, as well as some of the financial side with the guarantees on the TID, just to make sure we're meeting all the original objectives. Quick recap of the project. I know there's a few new faces on council. Again, as mentioned, project was started in 2015. I think we closed on the majority of the land, although additional parcels were acquired over time. We started that process in 2016 with the original acquisitions, totaling just under 200 acres today. Again, it's north of Loomis and south of Loomis. Really going to focus today on the area south of Loomis, as that's really what we're considering the original development. You know, a little tough to see here. Area north of Loomis, south of Loomis. So, and I'll have some shots with the pictures and the construction updates here momentarily. The area really discussing today is comprises of approximately 79 single-family lots of roughly 25-acre open space, green space, as well as approximately 70 acres of industrial land in the industrial park, and a couple of commercial outlots. Originally, so we have the agreements that we have mandate that we agree to a minimum assessment of $10.5 million in 2021. That springs to $21 million in 2022. The agreement also states that we were mandated to have the offsite water work completed by the end of August of 2019. And the balance of the public improvements, all the horizontal, completed by June 1 of 2023. So I'll kind of back into now those where we've hit as far as those benchmarks. As far as the minimum assessment in 2021 of 10.5, I think we'll be at about 15. So we've exceeded that within the area that we're looking at. So I think we're in good shape. From a construction standpoint, and I have a couple of different shots here, but I'll provide this one. So one of the decision points we had early on was whether to phase it, hence that 2023 deadline. We actually chose not to. We chose to move forward with the bulk of the improvements. So that includes, right here you'll see the 79-lot single-family subdivision, as well as the connector road here and the connector roads for the balance of the industrial park. So this was shot via drone on Monday, so it's about as real-time as we can get. Today, again, we have about 55% of the improvements in. When completed, we'll have likely north of $15 million of horizontal investment that doesn't count the vertical sticks going up, but just on pipe and roadways, et cetera. By year end, we expect to have 85% of the improvements completed. Recent events on site, as you can see from the roadways that are laid out, they proof rolled the roads last week. We have aggregate base going down this week and next week, depending on rain. Shortly thereafter, curbs will go in, and then quickly following by asphalt. So our big goal with the development is to get all of the roads completed by the end of the year before the asphalt plants close. It's a big push, but we think it's realistic. In addition to that, we're looking to actually seed what is the 25-acre area with native grasses and vegetation. So that's the area that we're going to keep open space. And so we're going to have that seeded too, so that way we can put it down in the fall, and then when it sprouts in the springtime, we have a good base there that doesn't get washed out with spring rains. Going to the, from a sales standpoint, I know we've had some discussions on specific to the single family where we're at there. Single family market has been very, very robust. I don't think it's unique to southeastern Wisconsin. I think it's all around the country at the moment. I believe I noted in one of the trade magazines, I think September sales just on residential housing was up 26% September to September. We're seeing that in really all facets of residential real estate. We haven't taken this product out to individual homeowners right now. Part of the reason is because the roads aren't in, and that's not something we do at this stage. We have taken it out to individual builders though. And so every builder that we've approached has come back with an offer. Our retail sales prices on the lots are about $135,000 a lot. That exceeds our original expectations. Every builder has been very excited about the opportunity, to the point that they've all submitted some kind of verbal or written offer. And in turn then, we've actually had a couple of the potential builders look to take us out completely and buy the entire subdivision. So there's a lot of momentum, there's a lot of confidence. They like the way it's positioned, feel very good about the overall product.
Mr. Mills, before you move on.
Yes, sir.
I think it's important that people get oriented here, because some may not be oriented, especially those watching on YouTube. So this, Jim, you're pointing at the screen?
And I can even, I did an overlay, because sometimes it's.
If you just orient people.
Yeah, because sometimes it's a little tough to tell. It's tough for me to tell. So the subdivision is not colored. So that's left with no highlighter on it. And excuse my handiwork, it's not 100% accurate, but I think it'll give a general depiction. So we have 36 is over here.
Loomis Road.
Yes, Loomis is over here. We have 112 right here. Sorry. And then Ryan here.
And what's this?
That is the dump.
And what's this?
I believe that is the other dump, but I don't have my glasses on with my mask.
Yep.
So what we have is Irish Cottage. That was a recent acquisition we made after some of the initial discussions, and thought it was best if we could try and clean up that corner at some point. We don't have any immediate plans, but just for orientation here, that's about right there. So the green is what we're considered, it's considered the open space nature area. So while it's being graded right now, we're going to go back and plant that and keep that open. There's some instances of we have detention ponds in various facets of it. We have industrial here. This is the site, the yellow is the site that Strauss owns. The blue here, this is industrial and or commercial, and the same here with that blue. So from an industrial and commercial standpoint, we have two additional users that we're in discussions with. So one's a little bit more on the commercial side, the other is more of a traditional industrial user. We're in advanced discussions. We're hopeful to ink them both within the next 6 weeks. That would put us significantly ahead of schedule as far as assessments and kind of where we're at on that. From that standpoint, I'd be really happy if we got 1 out of 2 on these, but we're going to shoot for both of them. And even with, I mentioned on the single family where it's important for a retail homeowner consumer to actually see the lot, it still is important for even an industrial user to be able to go out there and drive on the roads and visualize it. And we haven't had the opportunity to do that yet because the roads are just being put down right now. So we're really excited to be able to market it once it's clean and it looks great and is laid out properly. From a home perspective, we're hopeful, we'd love to say we could get some foundations in this year in 2020 still. Realistically, that might be tough with, depending on what kind of winter we have. So worst case, there'll be a slew of foundations going in on the single-family side, spring of 2021. Again, hopeful we can start sooner, but on the commercial side, yeah, again, I think we've got a couple of users that are ready to go pretty quick. So we're hopeful that we could get one or two of them in through the process, and then in the spring be able to push things forward. So again, I'm really appreciative of the partnership and the faith, and I think you know, we've done a lot of improvements here over the last. A lot of site work's been completed over the last 4 months, and excited to get to the finishing stages here.
Alderman Nelson.
Good evening, Mr. Mills. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I guess it was no secret that you know, my big concern, one of them is the development of that single family end, and now you're mentioning that the lots are going up near that 135 mark. How does that equate to what you think the end house, because I remember we had that range, it was like 350, 450 per house. Does that affect that? Do you think that'll elevate that?
I do think it elevates that. I think some of it's a byproduct of what we're seeing in the marketplace in general. Just anecdotally, lumber's gone up approximately. It's now at 16% more for, excuse me, it's about $16,000 a house more expensive now because of the lumber prices. Now they've come back down a little bit, but all of that has and the end result is assessed valuations that are higher. There is a scarcity of product in southeastern Wisconsin for single-family lots. It's just a reality when we look at some of the neighboring subdivisions. So I envision that, you know, we're always trying to push those prices, Alderman, but I think we'll get it there, and I think we're going to see 450 to 550. You know, we try to achieve to surpass those expectations and those minimums we put, but that's where I think it'll come in.
And I'll kind of go add on a few of other points with this. So in your professional opinion, you do not believe that any other industrial project, I'm not going to mention them, would have a negative impact on the development of these high-end single-family homes?
I do not think that that has a negative impact on those lots.
Okay. Another added point to that.
Just a second. You know, laughing like that doesn't improve your position. Here's a professional who's investing their money. That's all I'm going to say. You guys, you just don't get it. Alderman Nelson, you have the floor.
Okay, continuing. So I was out there again yesterday as well. I do pretty much a weekly check, and you know, that's no secret. I'm just trying to see where things are at. So you are believing that by spring now that there should be some sort of developmental, we should be able to see something developing in that residential piece. My concern is that we hear, and this isn't putting you out at all, but that we hear that there's going to be this development and there's a lot of houses and they're big money, but we're not seeing anything. I'm seeing some development as far as improvement of the land, but not holes in the ground. And I also don't see a sign if I wish to buy a piece of property there, you know, say as far as residential part. So I guess that's, you know, and I'm glad you came here because I hope this is like a pattern like we do with Mr. Zimmerman, where he came every other month or whatever to give us updates, because this is very important. This is a huge, huge development in our district. A lot of moving pieces here. And I think the more transparency and the more, you know, real-time data we can get helps all of us, everybody in this room and the community. So I appreciate that part. Lastly, I'd just like to add or ask, the demand you talk about as far as, it sounds like you're kind of in a crossroads. Do you pick the development, or are you looking at selling the whole chunk to someone else to develop? But either way, it is, again, your professional opinion that nothing industrial-wise here is going to have a negative impact on this residential piece, because this residential piece is huge.
Sure.
I mean, I'm a very big proponent of higher-end single-family developments versus other things. I'll leave it like that. Thank you.
I'll start at the top. As far as commitment to going vertical, you know, as everybody knows, we can't start foundations until we have roads in and processes, and there's many millions of dollars there that we've made an investment. So from a certainty of sticks will go up. I mean, we have again, we have a massive investment, and we build about 1,000 units a year across 15 different states. Oftentimes, we have a smaller portion of what we do is on the single-family side. We have a relatively small single-family construction company. It's really geographically located to Kenosha and Racine County. We do about 60 to 65 single-family homes a year, ranging anywhere between the 400 and 650 kind of range. So product that would fit well here. We've, during the downturn, we acquired well north of 1,000 lots, predominantly from banks and others when they were coughing them up. We also developed, I think we've done 4 subdivisions this year, 3 to 4 we've brought online. So where we found success is when we're not like one of the big production builders out of Illinois where they want to have the whole subdivision, they want to do a cookie cutter and they just stamp them out. We have more success when there's a bunch of great builders in southeastern Wisconsin where we bring in a handful of builders that we know and we trust, and we'll sell a lot product, one, to defer risk, but then also we find that the positive buzz around that when they have their marketing efforts and we have our marketing efforts, it builds a community out faster and we see a higher level of success. You also don't have the monotony of having the same builder build 7 or 8 houses that all look the same. So from that standpoint, that's where our sweet spot is. We've again, we're predominantly Kenosha Racine based. My team is trying to convince us to keep a pretty large chunk of these just because we really believe in the market and build them out. So we likely will. We've been quite honestly very surprised at some of the offers from the builders that have been very, very strong to take us out in our entirety. We certainly did not expect that on the front end.
Could I interject one thing
Sure.
here? Okay, looking at this, the color schematic, would you entertain, and I'm not asking for commitment, but would you at least entertain perhaps doing more of a residential build where the Irish Cottage area is, or anywhere around this to add on if you had that much demand? Would you consider I'll tell you what, I'll just throw it out there. Anywhere in here would you consider adding more of a residential build if that demand really is pushing it? Because I mean, we're looking at, for what we're taxing on, the city makes a lot more money with residential than they do industrial.
I think it would be very difficult with what we're looking at here. Again, we have lands on the north side of Loomis that we've had some discussions about. I think there's some opportunities there. There's some old zoning classifications that were done many, many years ago that need to get cleaned up. But I think there's some opportunities on those sites. Did I miss any of the questions? Great.
Anyone else? Alderman Wilhelm.
The city has bonded $9 million for your project. How much of money have you put in?
We will have well in excess of a corresponding 9 by the time we're done with the project. Probably multiples.
And what will those costs be in?
We'll have roadways, infrastructure, grading costs.
Well, we're doing the roadways and that, so you're saying you're matching our roadway money and our grading?
I'm happy to get you the full pro forma. There's a lot of details. I wouldn't want to misspeak on it. It's certainly
The only
common
reason I'm
knowledge.
asking is because I didn't want to mislead the public that we didn't put in $9 million for this as well, because you have just heard, we've invested. It's also important that you let the people know that the city and the taxpayers have invested. Just to make that-
Absolutely. And I think, and that's part of the reason too that we're here. When I say partnerships, it is a partnership, and it was a heavy lift and a lot of trust on all sides. And I think we're delivering on the improvements and everything we said we were, and we're excited to have you guys as partners and make sure we're holding up our end of the bargain. Thank you, though.
Anyone else? Okay. Thanks, that's
Great, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to take 5 minutes. We'll be back at 9 o'clock.
I kind of missed his